bringing on the truth. Here goes STRS Podcast is setting the record straight. Don't you know it's coming fast?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, welcome everybody.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yep, name's Chris.
I'm Mike.
Today, we're gonna dive right into this. Talking about the free market.
Oh yeah.
I'm of course for the free market. You are for.
Not being a fool. Oh, I mean command market.
Oh, okay. All right, now so shed some light on this command market. You were talking to me off the air here.
Oh, boy, I just happened to catch a little bit of Glenn Beck the other day, and it really sparked some interest in my conversation.
Okay. What about Glenn Beck? I mean, I'm a big supporter of Glenn Beck, so I listen to him all the time.
Well, he kind of really struck a point with me. He said, boy, you know what's going to be terrible? When we have the money crash and the next terrible recession in our economy, it's going to be the money crash. And what exactly does that mean? Money crashing? Do you mean like there may be too much money? Money being printed? Could that be bad? What's bad about more money?
I would say that's very bad because if you're printing more money, you have nothing to back the money that you're printing. So you're pulling it out of thin air. And when you're pulling it out of thin air and don't have anything to back it, it's got to go somewhere.
It's not being backed. So actually, probably the best thing to back it with is more money, right? Not enough today, we'll just print more tomorrow.
How in the world would that work for you?
Actually, it's been working for quite a while. I don't know why you would ever think there's a problem with it now. And in fact, it's the reason that we're as wealthy as we are today, and we're going to be even wealthier tomorrow.
Right, okay. Well, don't you think that we need something back in the money, like back when we were on the gold standard?
No.
Why not?
Because we got rid of that handcuff a long time ago.
Yeah, okay, but you don't think that there's a problem, that there's nothing backing our money? What happens if there is a money bubble and the bubble bursts, and then you have an overvalued dollar because you're printing money out of thin air? It all bursts. So say it's 30% devalued because of how much money we have printed. So everything that has any monetary value is going to go down by 30%. That means if you take, say I have $1,000 in a bank account and it's 30% valued, I'm going to go to bed with $1,000, and the next morning I'm going to wake up and only have $700.
It's a little dramatic, right? It's not going to turn into $700 overnight.
You don't know that.
Maybe there's a giant crash. It's possible. And I never exactly said there wasn't going to be any problems with the market, but you roll with the problems as they come along. You figure out what you have to do to stimulate the economy.
So, but think about all the millions and millions of dollars you're going to lose in that way when the economy corrects itself, because you can't print money forever.
We've been doing it for a long time.
Doesn't make it right.
And actually, we can't continue to print money because as long as the economy keeps growing, we keep printing, and the system's happy.
Right, but who buys our debt?
Well, so far, we buy our own debt. Come on, you know how that works.
How do we buy our own debt?
Our little friends up in Washington.
Okay.
Fred Robinson? Oh, wait, no, his name's Federal Reserve.
Okay. So you're bringing the Federal Reserve into this, which is helping manipulate the market with quantitative easing.
Oh yeah, he's my boy.
Right. Quantitative easing. So with your mindset, quantitative easing is by definition. What is that definition to you?
Let's get a tighter look. Do you mind? We're here standing by. We're watching quantitative easing as it's unfolding. So hop on board.
I don't want to.
I want you to look up the definition of quantitative easing.
Okay. So.
Because that was a new term for me today, and I think it may mean something a lot easier than it sounds like. It's a fancy freaking lingo money term that nobody really cares about. That's why they don't talk about it.
Okay. So real basic financial term, okay? Quantitative easing is the introduction of new money into the money supply by a central bank. So the Federal Reserve that you talked about, that would be what is America's central bank.
Correct.
Okay. So they're using quantitative easing, the introduction of new money into the money supply. So they're pumping money into the supply chain.
Yes.
Okay.
They do. So the Federal Reserve is actually the one printing out the money, while at the same time our government is the one creating new bonds. And the transaction happens between money and bond. The government taking in the money and trading in bonds for the capital. If you think money isn't just a form of capital, it is liquidity in the system that we can use as part of the economy. What do you think it's all based on? It's actually liquid money.
Okay. I get that, but there's nothing backing it.
Well, the bond, right? So the government gives the bond back to the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve holds onto these bonds as a form of accounting for what we owe back.
Correct. So we're writing big, huge IOUs from quantitative easing, but there's nothing to back it. There's no way to pay it back.
Ooh, on the contrary.
How do you pay it back?
I got another friend.
Yeah.
His name is Chris. He's sitting right next to me.
Right.
And as long as you keep working for a living, you're actually what's backing the dollar.
Oh.
You must feel pretty special.
Okay.
Because the actual transaction, or you could also say just the natural flow of the money, is from the Federal Reserve,
Okay.
central bank.
Okay.
So
Federal Reserve is a central bank, right?
Right.
So that one area, the Treasury right there.
We just established a central bank.
Okay.
Federal Reserve. Okay. And they're offering more money supply.
Okay.
That's quantitative easing. Specifically right here in this instance, money printed, given to the government. Money supply. I like money. You like money? I bet you do.
I like money, but don't you agree that in this country we are out of control in spending?
No, we're not spending enough.
What do you think we should be spending more on?
Well, Mr. Free Market, you should be buying whatever you want.
Okay.
Buy more. Keep it up, bro. Because how else are we going to pay back that debt? We are in debt to the Federal Reserve. They give us money, and we owe more back.
But I didn't ask for that money.
You go to work.
I go to work to get paid.
You had to ask for that job.
And
so you were asking money compensation last time I checked.
Correct.
Unless there's a little something going on.
From the company, not the government.
Oh. Okay. That's where you go. But that's the currency.
I see. So when did all this start?
I would literally have to look that up, but I know it's been within this century. It's been within the last 100 years or so.
So just to go back for quantitative easing for us, the first time it happened was in December of 2008. So this is relatively new. We're now, September of 2018. We've been doing this for 10 years now. So I can honestly say we know the true effects of all the borrowing of what's going to happen. But it doesn't look like it's good because everything keeps going up in price.
Of course.
The more you print, the less the value of said money you have. And at the same time,
it takes more money to buy the same good.
Right. So therefore, isn't that a negative? Wages aren't increasing.
No, because I have more money to get more goods with.
Yeah, but if the money, if it's increasing it more of a rate than your paycheck, it's not going to work.
Not my paycheck.
But what about everybody else's?
Last time I checked, I'm wealthier than my parents were at this point.
Same here.
So
I can totally say that myself. I make more than both my parents combined.
So what's the complaint? What are you complaining about? Complaining about making more money? Because it's pretty awesome.
No, I'm not complaining about making more money at all. I'm complaining about the fact that the way that we're doing this, we're going about doing this, is not secure.
So let me get this straight. I think what you're recommending is we go back to the gold standard.
I would, if at least not the gold standard, back it by something, gold or silver.
Gives me chills just thinking about it.
Why?
Been holding us back, bro. Been holding us back. Because we're better off today than we were back then.
Are you sure about that? Look at the world we live in today.
Look at the laptop we're recording on. It's pretty awesome.
I get that, but I think we could have created it without quantitative easing.
Well, this is going to bring us into a good point, right? Was it possible before we began the fiat currency and printing money?
Yes.
I mean, if you could follow me through this thought pattern, I would have to say that the money being backed by a certain commodity like gold would have to say that wealth is a commodity itself, meaning it's limited. And if you're putting a limit on these things, how else do you keep extracting more wealth? Can you do that out of thin air? I don't think so. So by means of printing more money, we can say that more money exists today than did yesterday. And I can all of a sudden buy more than I could because there's more money in existence. And now I can honestly say that more people are wealthy throughout the entire world. So it's almost like, I bought a laptop and you bought a laptop. And if we keep printing more money, Bob can buy a laptop tomorrow too.
Or Bob can just earn a paycheck, save up the money, and go buy a laptop.
That money isn't coming out of thin air.
The money's coming out of the goods and services that is purchased by said person, consumer, to the company, in which the company gets the money. There's the transfer of money right there, which part of the money goes back to the company and part of the money goes to the employee in the form of a paycheck. So based on that sale. So that money's there whether or not you have quantitative easing or not.
So you're bringing up my next argument. How is Bob earning a paycheck?
Bob's earning a paycheck because of his work ethic and his everyday work.
Well, there mustn't be a job for Bob to go obtain, to be paying Bob for the job he's doing.
What do you mean?
Well, the job just doesn't come out of thin air. So what if there's only 1,000 laptops in production and Bob doesn't have a job to all of a sudden be able to buy the laptop that he wants?
Then Bob has to work until to find that job to get that laptop that he wants. I'm not going to hand him a laptop. I'm not going to hand him the money to go buy a laptop. That's your basic freedom and liberty to go to work to earn what you have. That's how a person earns value. That's how a family earns everything that they have.
I see where you're going. But let's just follow me through another thought pattern real quick.
Okay.
I already said that there was 1,000 laptops available.
Right.
Let's just say that there's only $1,000 in the market, in your money supply, right? And we're in this limited wealth economy, and every laptop costs $1, then what's going to, and Bob doesn't have a job, Bob doesn't have $1, how's Bob going to get a job to get $1 to get a laptop? There's only $1,000, they're already spent. What expands the economy to fit Bob? It's a limited economy. I can't really come up with a scenario where Bob's going to be able to do this.
I think you're forgetting the banks in your scenario. Banks loan money on what people have invested in said bank.
People loan money,
Banks loan money.
right? Bob could get a loan. Bob ain't got no job.
Bob's not going to get a loan without a job.
Nope. But I mean, the economy is already set in place. There is no. It's already a system being operated upon in its limited capacity. So
So what's the fix? You think taking it off the gold standard is going to just open it up?
I think in this example, you could say, well, right, Bob doesn't have a job, but we can print an extra dollar. So great. If the government just magically makes this extra dollar appear, it can loan it to Company A. Company A can then produce a laptop. And then Company A can hire Bob to go sell the laptop.
Right, I'm following you.
And Bob sells the laptop for profit. Returns, obviously, profit goes back to Company A. Company A made $2 on their dollar borrowed. They pay the bank back $1.25. And now Bob has $1 to go buy his own laptop. And the company is paying $1.50 back to the bank. So government just created 50 cents for itself. Bob got a laptop. The business made money. The bank made money. I don't understand what the problem is. And as long as you continue on this escalation of growth, you just have all of a sudden spawned new economy all over the place, based upon new money, new loans, and new growth. And all along, Bob wants. Bob's a human, man. Bob's gonna work. As long as you offer him a job. Bob works for money. That money's good because Bob works. That's the value. You know you got something out of the dollar because Bob works for it. Bob produced, sold a service.
Right.
Company A sold a good. Combined, they've sold goods and services. So all of a sudden, we have an economy that's just became 1,001 when it used to just be 1,000. Bye bye gold standard. You've been holding us back.
Okay.
I understand there's problems with it. I didn't say it was a perfect system. Did I say that? You're inviting a whole sort of new problems into your system.
Interesting. So, so that you bring up another good point there. So we Nixon took us off the gold standard. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going back years.
Yep.
One of the reasons why looks to be because of the fact that the global gold supply grows slowly. So theoretically, if we're on the gold standard, you could hold government overspending and inflation in check. Wouldn't you want to hold government overspending in check? You only spend what you have.
No, because that brings you back to my point. The economy will not grow if you're on a limited budget. You may have your own economy, but if you're in a limited space and you want wealth to be if you want to be able to obtain wealth, then you only have a finite amount to shift. So if you're wealthy today and I want wealth, I have to take it from you. There is no new wealth. If there's only $1,000 in your economy, there's only ever going to be $1,000. And you have to consider it being spread amongst everybody. And it's only going to be shifted, not grown. See the difference?
Okay. So, of course, you see me listening to you and looking up things at the same time to keep this conversation going. So for me, not to throw another name out there, I'm a Ron Paul supporter, have been, and he supported the gold standard, going back to the gold standard. Of course, he also agrees with condensing the government down, making it smaller. I know a lot of people these days that want the government to be smaller because there's overreach. That's a whole different topic for a different day. But the downsides, of course, being back on the gold standard would be that there's a fixed link between the dollar and gold. It would make the Federal Reserve powerless to fight the recessions or put the brakes on an overheating economy. Of course, there's comparisons here to the euro. Of course, the euro has been tanking, so we're not going to even talk about the euro. Which is totally bankrupt Greece, honestly. Their economy's trashed right now. Yeah, because they're linked to a standard. Gold supplies are unreliable. Miners went on strike or new gold discovery suddenly stalled. Economic growth could grind to a halt. If the output of goods and services grew faster than gold supplies, the Fed couldn't put more money into circulation to keep up, driving down their wages and stifling investment. So I see where you're saying about it growing back, but at the same time, we have to figure out a way. If we can't go back to the gold standard, if we won't do that, that's fine. I'll concede on that with you. Okay?
Nice.
But I don't think quantitative easing is the way, because if you pump money back into that system, and you pump too much, as it said, you're going to crash the whole system. We have a bunch of politicians in there that just like to spend like crazy, open up the checkbook, write phony checks, funny money, and here, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this.
That is it. You just leaped from printing money to crashing the economy.
Right. Because that's in the end, that's the cause and effect.
That's like saying if I turn on the oven, the house is going to blow up. Don't turn on the oven. Dude, you're talking about that big of a risk. So
how much is that big of a risk?
Probably not going to happen.
Probably not going to happen.
Hasn't happened yet.
That gives me no comfort.
I mean, there's no guarantee in any economy, bro. There's no guarantee that even your gold standard based economy is going to last tomorrow. I mean, what does the economy depend on? It's depending on people that are willing to put into it.
Right.
Right? It's the flow of money and goods and services. So the cog in the system is always the people. So that's why I think an economy based on labor is always going to be your most stable economy. Okay. So, I mean, for your government to invest into its people, I think is just borderline simple and obvious that that's the way to go. So let's just say, for example, we want to put under the microscope the automotive crash that happened not that long ago, right? Still pretty fresh in our memory. Let all that crumble and die and bury itself.
Free market, a true laissez-faire free market economy, a free market system, law, supply, and demand. You would have let that all crash, yes.
True.
You would have let it all go. Continue.
Yay, foreign automobiles.
Dude, they're already like 50% already.
So we didn't do that. Instead, we made money come out of thin air. We gave it all to those couple of industry giants to re-stimulate themselves, to come out of the burning hole that they found themselves in. And apparently they're doing okay. And
I still think fiscal irresponsibility put them there.
Right. You got to assume that they've corrected their mistakes.
Well, and we do know people were fired over those, going bankrupt, and tried, and some thrown in prison. But that's not the point there. So the government printed money from thin air and bailed them out. Did they ever pay them back?
No. It's not a bailout. I mean, it was a bailout. It's not a loan. Otherwise, we would have called it a loan. It was a bailout. Here's free money.
So we're just giving away free money, never going to get it back.
Well, not technically. They invested the labor of the future younglings, right?
Okay, all right. Because I mean, if we're giving out free money, I'm going to go to the government and be like, look, I want my money. You giving out free money, I'll take some. Get me out of debt, give me a nice house, give me a new car. They just give me the money instead of blowing it off on rich billionaires that already got enough money.
Yeah, but the economy will survive without you, buddy. Sorry.
Nice.
So, try again.
Okay. Well, you've convinced me to leave the gold standard behind. I got that. But I'm still not all for this government printing money out of thin air. There has to be some type of governing force. Funny. Governing force. Government overspending, oversight.
Luke, use the force.
Right? So if
Keep the money coming.
If we're going to keep doing that, how do we control it?
Well, by control, I think you mean kind of like a checks and balances system to make sure spending is,
Minimum.
kept responsible to a minimum where it's sustainable.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. You gotta trust somebody. I mean, that's the answer nobody wants to hear. Nobody trusts the government. I don't either.
Well, right, because honestly, the Federal Reserve, and this could be a completely different topic for a completely different discussion on a completely different day, the Federal Reserve acts outside the Constitution and is not even constitutional.
Say that again?
The Federal Reserve is its own governing body, does not report to anybody in Congress or the House of Representatives or the President, and is not regulated by anybody, and it is not appointed, the head of the Federal Reserve is not appointed by the President. You can look all that up. It is its own governing body. It runs itself. Nobody governs it.
Cool.
Not cool.
I mean, your tone, you have this overtone, like that's a problem.
That's a very big problem.
I mean, it could. Yeah.
With how corrupt everything is in the world, you don't think that there's things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about?
Oh, so what Chris is saying is that he wants to be in charge so that he can be the corrupted one.
No, I would not want that responsibility.
So you're going to be the one in charge to decide how much money he's going to get printed?
No.
Oh, well, then who's going to do it?
I'm not doing it.
Well, then stop criticizing the ones that are doing it and doing it successfully. Right.
You think it's successful?
Let me put it this way. If you don't know how much money to print tomorrow, then who does?
It's all based on a fictitious number, dude.
Yes.
Nobody knows how much money to print.
Well, somebody's making a decision.
Not us.
The ones at the Federal Reserve, probably?
Correct.
And it's fictitious, but it's not because they're printing a real amount of money. And they're basing it probably off some computational economic equation. It's coming out of not thin air. And it's hopefully it is only the amount that's needed to re-stimulate the economy. I mean, they're not crashing the system because they're depending on it too. I mean, it's self-governing in the fact that the people that want to succeed are the ones running it. So, yeah, George in Capitol Hill is the one doing it, and he wants to be successful. He's not. He's not going to maliciously take it down himself if he can help it. So this is a calculated decision to make sure it works.
Why would you take it down yourself if you're making money off of it yourself?
So you're proving my point.
That no. What I'm saying is that the Fed chairman, all that, why would he get rid of this? Why would he get rid of this whole idea of quantitative easing when he's getting rich off of it? Not
He's
you.
not going to.
Not you. Not me. He is.
Okay, he's not gonna give it up.
Right. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna drive it into the ground, and then run with his money.
No.
Isn't that what happened with all the auto industry?
No.
Okay.
You want me to like spin a? I mean, at this point, we only have the facts given to us. If you want to turn this into a conspiracy theory, I will.
No. I don't want to do any of that.
Right. So we're just assuming a combination of bad business decisions, cultural variables that influence the economy and business incentives, bad loans, or bad quality, bad workers. I mean, maybe there was a reason the Americans lost trust in the American cars. Right? You want to talk about free market. Maybe they just made shitty cars. And that's why they lost business.
Oh, I'm all in agreement with that.
So
They did. American cars in the late 2000s were not the best quality. General Motors, in an area where we came from alone, General Motors was getting ready to lay off a third shift. So they started sending out crap because they were upset that they were losing their jobs. They were missing screws, they were missing nuts, they were missing bolts.
People want good cars.
And then the government made them rehire the third shifters because they had to recall the cars and fix them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like people actually want dependable automobiles, amazeballs, and you sold lemons in a banana market. So yeah, it's not necessarily because of money. I wouldn't say that at all. I would just say there's a lot of variables that took place, and maybe that was part of it, but the majority of it was probably more to do with in-house within the auto industry in America. So printing money saved it. Printing money saved the economy. Otherwise, that would have been a disaster.
Oh yeah, it would have been a disaster, but at the same time, I still...
Maybe we should have let it... We could have let it autocorrect. You're right. We could have just let it self-adjust. But why do that when you can just magically fix it and hope it works tomorrow? Sounds great to me.
So in conclusion, just let the government print all the money for you.
Print it up, Brad.
Bringing on the truth, here goes STRS Podcast is setting the record straight. Don't you know it's coming fast?
Bye, guys.
Later.